Hi, welcome to the July 2018 Village of Buchanan meeting. In case of emergency, please use the emergency exit over here. Also, please do not use the elevator, use the stairwell behind the elevator. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Okay, we do not have a lot on the agenda tonight, so this should be a quick meeting unless Nick has a lot of comments to make. Oh, come on. Okay. Approval of minutes, May 1st, 2018 board meeting. Any comments, corrections?
I have one thing.
Okay.
Page 19, in the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 7 lines up where it says a motion to adopt the village budget, and then it says the vote was 3-1 in favor. That should be 3-2 in favor. Oh, Sue's not here tonight.
It's being taped.
It's being taped, okay. So that should be 3-2, not 3-1.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Any other corrections or comments?
Nothing for me.
Okay.
For me, nothing here.
On a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda, comments from the floor, but agenda items only. Any comments? Okay. Under new business, resolution authorizing the engineer to prepare specifications and for the clerk to advertise bids for roadway work. So this is something we do every year. We pick some roads, and I know Kevin and the engineer were out today looking at different things. So we're preparing to do our road work. Whereas the Village of Buchanan is desirous of repairing sections of roadway throughout the village, and whereas the village board has determined that the cost of such roadway work exceeds the limits mandated by state law for projects requiring bidding. Now be it therefore resolved that the village engineer is to provide the village clerk with such specifications as are necessary to complete a proper bid package, and be it further resolved that the village clerk is authorized to advertise for bids for the roadway work after receiving the specifications from the village engineer. Okay, on a motion?
So moved.
On a question?
Second.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Wait, what happened?
On a motion? Somebody said
Are we
first.
discussing yet?
I said on a question. We
Okay.
haven't voted.
So I just have
Okay.
one question,
Sure.
which is, from the last time some road work was done down by our end of Tate Avenue there was crack sealing, and I don't think this was I'm not sure if this was our regular crack sealing, or if it was when they did one side of the road and they sealed the joint down the middle. But the first time the plow came through, all that stuff came up, and at first I didn't know what I was finding, but they were basically long black tar ribbons on the lawn from the plow and all over.
That shouldn't be coming
So I
up
just
like
want
that,
to,
Joe.
I just want to make a point of that, because if we use the same paver.
That was done by Con Ed. I think Con Ed, part of the specification was that they would seal the crack on that half of the lane. So it was whoever they used as their contractor that time through.
Okay, so what they
We've used
did
somebody
was,
different.
just maybe it was the timing
might
with the
have been.
snow, I don't know,
Or
but.
whatever the material maybe
But
was.
crack sealing is not normally a part of the road contract, is
No,
it?
because it's on state bid, so normally all we have to do is contact whoever the winner is on the state bid, and we kind of usually have a certain amount of
It's done
roads. or
separately
certain roads.
normally, yeah.
We usually do it separately.
All right, so this might just be an
I think
isolated.
it was Con Ed's contractor that did that.
Okay.
That's when Rich, that was near your house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of that whole project there where the subcontractor was.
Yes, when they had dug it up,
Yeah.
yeah.
In fact, on that matter, I happened to run into a Con Ed person. I guess they were checking to make sure that the things were done properly. And so I was asking him about the fact that did he work for Con Ed? And he said, yes, he did work for Con Ed. I said, but all this stuff was done by a contractor. And I showed him the damage they'd done to my house. So I...
You mean your driveway?
the driveway and the house. And the house. They They literally ripped off part of an electrical outlet that had on the outside. They took out a meter and they stuffed it back in with, I don't even know what the substance is, but it all oozed out and came down the side of the house. So I asked him, and I relate to anybody who has been the victim of a Con Ed contractor, that you call up Con Ed. This gentleman was very good. He said, when you call up, ask for the department that handles restoration. That means getting your property or your house or whatever they damage back to the way it was before. Now, they're not going to do a whole driveway, which is, I can't say enough how bad their contractors were. They were foul-mouthed. Most of them you could hardly understand, and they started work without even asking people. It was really it was kind of.
Yeah,
It gives you a good example of when you start contracting out, you lose control, and that's what Con Ed loses control. Well, it's the contractor who did it. The contractor says, well, talk to Con Ed. So the consumer gets caught in between everything. But I just thought I'd mention that he said, look for the section that does restoration.
Okay, good to know. Thank you, Rich. I know we had a lot of problems with this subcontractor this time. All right, we did on a motion, on a question, second. All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And no opposed.
No opposed.
Okay. 4B, under new business, resolution setting a public hearing to amend section 163-4 entitled placement for collection. So we're just setting the public hearing for this. Whereas a local law has been drafted and introduced which would adopt a local law amending Chapter 163-4 of the Code of the Village of Buchanan, and whereas the local law has been received and reviewed by the Board of Trustees, which has recommended the adoption of same, whereas it is the desire of the board to conduct a public hearing on the enactment of the proposed law. Now be it therefore resolved that the village board will conduct a public hearing at the Village Municipal Building on August 7, 2018 at 7:30 for the purpose of taking public comment on and giving due consideration to the enactment of the local law amending Chapter 163-4 entitled Placement for Collection, Storage, Refuge Containers of the Code of the Village of Buchanan. Be it further resolved that a copy of said local law is available at the village clerk's office for public inspection during regular business hours. Be it further resolved that the village clerk be and hereby is authorized and directed to publish notice of said public hearing in the official newspaper. So basically what this is about, we have been having problems throughout the village with animals, birds, everything getting into the plastic bags that are left out at the curb. And it's creating a public health hazard, really, to have this garbage all over the place. So what we're looking to do, and this is just setting the public hearing, is to eliminate plastic bags being put out for garbage. So now you would have to have, it even has in our code that you should have a regular garbage container and not, right now the code says plastic bags also, but what we will do is just, you'll have to have some type of receptacle to put the garbage in. So,
Not to mention that that trash gets into the catch basins and goes down into the lake. So it's a whole stream of things that happen alongside.
yeah, it's getting all over,
Yeah.
yeah. It's there's raccoons, there's skunks, there's all kinds of animals that are ripping these bags apart, so.
I got to say, though, I mean, I think to me it's sort of a common sense thing, and I understand that common sense is not always common, but it's a common sense thing that if you have food items in a plastic bag, you don't put it out. If anything, you put it out, just before the truck comes or something. But I've never had the problem because I put out plastic bags all the time. With non-food items. If I clean out the garage and I have a garbage bag full of stuff, after Christmas I might have 2 big black bags full of wrapping paper, and I do not have 3 garbage containers to put my garbage out in. So I mean, I understand the issue, and I don't want to see that garbage all over, but I do have some hesitance, with the change, the code change. Just it seems like it's more of a judgment issue and maybe some way to enforce that people don't put food items out in plastic bags. I don't know. But I guess we'll leave that for the public hearing, but I'm
And
a
you know
little,
what I'm understanding in a lot of, and I don't want to go there, but a lot of other municipalities are saying that no plastic bags at all, so.
it might just be the easiest way to go, I guess. I don't know.
But no, I'm saying like even in the other container, like to completely eliminate all plastic bags. And yeah, like I said, I don't want to go there because sometimes you have yucky food and if you're going to throw it in your garbage can, you're going to have a
Yeah.
dirty garbage can, so.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I'm just saying that's what other communities are
This-
looking at, so.
This is not going to affect like when we put bulk out with contractor bags, is it?
Well, that's another point, yeah,
I
because
mean,
I put out
because
black
usually
bags
that's when
for
we
that.
do our cleaning, with garbage you might have in the house, or you have work done. We're not going to be able to leave contractor bags out on bulk pickup?
Well, in theory, if you do work yourself,
Well,
because
that's what-
if
that's what I
if somebody
mean.
else is doing it, they're
They'll haul the garbage
allegedly
away.
supposed to take the garbage with them. But that's a good point
Yeah, I'm just
also.
curious
Okay.
if that's, maybe just something we need to address, if this is just regular household garbage.
Okay, so we'll say non-food items.
Okay,
Leave that in there for
there you go.
non-food items.
Okay. And this is something, more
Excellent.
we'll be discussing, so,
Yeah,
okay,
to be continued.
that's it.
Excellent.
So we're just, like I said, we're just setting the public
Preliminary,
hearing, so
little
the public
preliminary,
can come out
yep.
and voice their concerns and their opinions also. Okay, on a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Resolution C, authorizing the execution of agreement with Local 456. Whereas due to the recent vacancy in the position of the wastewater treatment operator and the legal requirements pertaining to operation of the wastewater treatment plant by a licensed operator, the Village of Buchanan has had to temporarily subcontract the work to an outside agency. And whereas Local 456, International Brotherhood of Teamsters as the bargaining representative for employees of the Village of Buchanan, has expressed its concerns regarding the hiring of an outside contractor, rather than by filling the position with a member of the Local 456. So whereas the Village of Buchanan and Local 456 have reached an understanding whereby Local 456 agrees to temporarily allow the work to be performed by the outside contractor, and the Village of Buchanan acknowledges that the work is at a sufferance of Local 456 and is not a waiver of exclusivity. Now be it therefore resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute an agreement acknowledging the above, which document has been reviewed by the Board of Trustees and is attached hereto. So, as part of our licensing to run a wastewater plant, we are supposed to have 2 licensed employees over there. Currently, we do not have a licensed employee. We do have one that is working on getting his license. So we are temporarily using a outside agency, outside company, to be running the operations of the plant. On a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
On a question?
Yeah. In the letter, there's a letter attached to this. That is the letter that you'll be signing. First off, there is a term in there, parties agree that this subcontracting of work is at the sufferance of Local 456. What does that mean, at the sufferance?
What they're saying is that,
They're suffering?
they're saying that they're giving up a right. So, and we're acknowledging that they have the right to go after us for this, but they're gonna say, we're gonna allow you to do it temporarily because we know you need
Okay,
to.
and this is a 6-month agreement, after which we might revisit it.
Yes. If
Right,
we need to
okay.
keep the company over there for
Okay.
longer as we get a second licensed
Because,
person.
I mean, I was a union guy for years, and I support unions, but I think we have a problem here, and I'm just, we had the last 2 operators, we had issues. One was a good operator, but there were other issues at the plant. One was, there were problems. And right now, I think that plant needs to be well-run by these is a professional consulting group that's providing these operators. And with the prospect of trying to get money and redoing this plant, I think we need a level of oversight that we might have a hard time getting.
If I might interrupt.
You might. You have?
What the village understands and part of the, sorry.
No, no, that's cool. It's cool.
Part of the reason for entering into this agreement is because the village, Kevin, Teresa, we met with the union. We'd like to create a competitive position where people would take the test, a county test, right? And have a real licensed operator. And then they would come into and be part of the bargaining unit, part of the union.
So they would come in already licensed?
Yes,
As opposed
as
to
opposed to
trying
what
to
we've been
train?
doing.
Okay,
Not only licensed, but experienced.
okay, well, that could be
And it would
better.
be off the county test and the list, because,
Okay.
and we all agree that what's been going on just isn't working and puts us at risk because we never have two licensed people. And so,
Right.
as one is training, you have to hire an outside company to
Right.
oversee it all. And the union was nice enough to say, you know, the only objection they would have is if we didn't make them part of the bargaining unit, if we didn't bring them in and make, and we're going to.
Okay.
We're looking for an
Because the
outside.
So there
position
might
is a
be a-
union position.
Correct,
So
correct.
that might be an improvement then.
So that's
Yeah,
what the
let's
thought
hope so.
was.
And you know, going forward with the sewer treatment plant, you did mention grants. There's a lot of upgrades that we are going to be working on. So, and these people, Allied,
No, you want them to.
Allied,
to
what
put it
is
on the
it?
record?
Allied Control. They have been doing a great job over there. Kevin, do you want to comment now on anything with Allied as we're talking? Okay, with your report. Okay, fine. So that's what we're doing right now. I just wanted to be able to sign this agreement for the union.
Excuse me.
And we're working here in good faith. Okay. Stephanie, do you have any other comments on this?
No.
Okay. And did we get to on a question?
That was it.
That was the question. Okay, any others? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Okay, information from officers and departments, Justice Court report for May 2018. The amount collected, the report amount is $2,729 on one report and $310 on the other. So that's received and filed. Fire inspector's report for May 2018 is received and filed. Whoops. Police reports, March through May of 2018, received and filed. Attorney's report. Do you have anything for us this evening, Steph?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
No, I don't.
Okay.
No.
Thank you. Let's see, administrator's report.
I just have a few things. I just wanted to update everybody that the Bannon Avenue pit has been completed.
Oh, good.
The one last item they have to finish up is the repaving. So sometime at the end of next week, he's gonna come, cut out the patch nice and, square, and repave it. So that project is
That was a
finished
big
now.
project. That
Which was
was
nice, yeah.
to replace the valves and,
And update the pit, which really needed a lot of work.
yeah, no, it
So,
was, yeah.
That
was a big job.
The water meter project. We got contracts signed, the meters have been ordered. I'll be participating next Tuesday in a pre-project meeting with the engineer and the contractor. And at that point, I'll have more information I can report back at the workshop on how the process is going to go down. But I just want to let you know that that's moving along as well.
When are they looking at starting?
Well, the only piece of this that complicates it is how long it's going to take to get the meters. So once they get the meters, I think the contract says they have 120 days to complete the project, which is
That'll be a quick-
about 4
yeah.
months.
Pretty
So,
quick
but I'll have
turnaround.
more details, especially
good.
next meeting and probably at the workshop as well.
All right, great, thank you.
The auditors will be here next Monday and Tuesday. They start their preliminary work on our audit.
Yeah.
They always usually come in the beginning of July, and then they come for a week in usually September, October to do the bulk of the work, and then we have the final report usually by the end of the calendar year.
Yeah, it's that time of the year again.
Let everybody know when our office looks a little busier next week. We
Yeah.
got some extra people there. And the last part was a wastewater update. We have the consultants there. Things are working out well with our employee and them. We've made some progress. We had the flights that, were damaged with the ice on the sludge collection system has been repaired. We installed baffle boards, which was a project that we were supposed to have completed by July, which should slow the flow coming into the plant. One of the suggestions they had was to move the aerators a little bit to see if we got better mixing, which we did. And those are 3 things alone that have gotten done this month that is really helping us out to hit that checklist of things that the Department of Health wants to see done. So, I mean, that's my own report, so we're moving along.
Good, all right, lots going on, thank you. All I have to report this evening, well, a few things, I guess. The 90th birthday picnic. It was really turned out very great. It was a lot of fun. We had I think over 450 people that came in the end. So I really have to thank our volunteers, Cindy Kempter downstairs and Sharon Murphy in the office. They were great. They really did. They were really on top of everything, and they did a lot of work, and it turned out great. Colleen Murphy was another volunteer, and then we had volunteers that day that stepped up to help with different things. So it was a great community event. It was good to see a lot of people there. A lot of new residents. I went and interviewed people, which was interesting. I got to know some of the new residents here. So, but it was a nice birthday party for the village, and I think the food was great. Sansoda did the cooking for us, and it was really everything turned out good. We had a perfect day, and it was just a great way to celebrate the village's 90th birthday. The other thing is, nobody's going to be able to see this before, but on July 4th, there are fireworks. The City of Peekskill is having a fireworks show, and also August 4th, the Chamber of Commerce in the Peekskill or the Hudson Valley Chamber of Commerce will be having fireworks. So what I just want the residents to know is if you go over to Lens Cove, you'll be able to see the fireworks very well there. Bring your chair, bring your flashlight, maybe some insect repellent. I don't know. It depends what kind of a day it is. But, you know, we always have a good time. There's a group of people that go there, and it's a really nice place to see the fireworks. So what I'd like to say also is happy birthday, United States of America. I know we're facing some challenges, but I really have to say, you know, thank you to those who fight for our freedoms all over the world, and we thank them for their sacrifices. This is the greatest country in the world, and as Dwayne says a lot, freedom isn't free, but, you know, we really do appreciate those who fight for our freedoms, because we enjoy all these freedoms because of those people. So, like I said, we're going through our challenges, but we're going to be fine. We're going to come out. We're going to come out in a better place. So I think that's all I have to say this evening. Trustee Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And again, kudos to the office staff and all the volunteers with the 90th birthday party. I was here for the 75th, and we definitely had a great time with that. I'd like to also give a shout out to our other officials who were there, Sandy Galiff, John Testa, and Senator Murphy, who came in and, again, made their presence known, marched with us, and, you know, showed their involvement with the local community because they work for us, you know. Also, the fire department showed up in full force as always.
That was great.
And the great job that they do. And in a particular note, you know, down on Lake Drive, we had a catch basin sinking in and stuff, and I meant to bring it to your attention. And before I could, the guys were out there with the cones and setting up. So again, staying on top of the job is one of the things that, you know, I really enjoy in this village, that people are mindful of those little cosmetic things to make sure that they're shored up. And for the highway department, definitely to Wills and his people, great job that they do. As I've mentioned before, we're going to be doing a timeline. It's going to be a 25-year time period. So we're going to be collecting items from the seniors, the fire department, the police department, kids over at BV, and I might even think about trying to bring Nancy in from the recreation department to get some stuff and some items from the recreation department. But we'll be doing that in October. I was talking to Kevin today about the different items that we'll be getting, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. And in 25 years, we'll all open it up together. Other than that, have a great 4th of July, and as the mayor says, that you know, indeed, freedom is not free, and that we should celebrate all as one and one as all, because that's what we are here. Thank you so much.
That's right, thank you. Trustee Funchin.
Thank you, Mayor. I have very little, again, to say what you said about Buchanan Day. I'm not Buchanan Day, but Buchanan birthday of the 90th one was very good. The weather was fantastic, and the food was great, and the crowd, they also seemed to enjoy everything. Want to give a shout out to Buchanan Day, which is September 22nd, Saturday. We will be having that again. So we hope that everybody can come out for that, and we hope we get just as good a weather for that. I was at the village pool on Sunday, and it was packed, so that was good to see. There
That's what we like to hear.
Had a hard time to get even a parking space, so it was good.
Wow.
And it was packed. I left at about 5:15, and it was still packed. So I know that the weather helped, but
There
and
wasn't any particular event, it was just a Sunday?
I think there was somebody having like a birthday party, but
Okay.
you know,
But it was
it's
hot
still
and
good
a
for
place-
us, you
and a
know.
good place to be, wow.
And all the lifeguards working there, they're all very polite, very nice, and I think they ran a good day at the pool anyway while I was there. And lastly, enjoy the 4th. As the mayor has said, we have a lot to be thankful for in America. One note is, if you're going to play with firecrackers and fireworks, please remember that you have neighbors. Please remember that there is a time that you should stop with the fireworks, and nothing you can do about that, but dogs are really bothered by fireworks, and that only adds more noise to the neighborhood. So doing it in the afternoon not in the afternoon, but the early evening and things like that is fine, but 10, 11 o'clock at night is getting a little, pushing it a little. And there are people who are putting up rockets into the sky. As you'll note, most of the municipalities that have them do it over the river or over the big open space. There was the other night there that people were putting up rockets, and it was just on the street. So I hope that our police force will be on the lookout for that, because it can be dangerous. A rocket comes down and it can catch a house on fire, or it can hurt somebody, or God forbid, hit a car, something like that. So just please, as all our neighbors, we work together. Let's live together right and enjoy the 4th. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. And I do want to mention something, too. I know New York State now allows fireworks, but in our code, we do not allow fireworks. So, but just, if you are going to use them, I'm not condoning it. Just, be safe, and don't anyone get hurt with that.
But the New York law that they just said you can use are only for ground fireworks. Rockets are still illegal. Just to bring that out. Ground fireworks, meaning little explosive things, or sparkles, or fountains,
Sparklers, they are
or
allowed.
cones.
Things that don't
Yeah.
take off.
Yeah, crack balls, whatever those things are called. But anything that flies in the air is still illegal in New York.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, Trustee Zachary, what do you have for us tonight?
I wanted to mention an article that was in the New York Times on Sunday. I don't know if anybody saw it. If you did not see it, it was actually a favorable article. It was a real estate section of the New York Times. If you didn't see it, you could just Google New York Times real estate Buchanan. It'll come up. And I think that it emphasized the point that houses are selling quick around here. We had, when the announcement that Indian Point was closing came through, people were like, sell, get out of here, everything's going to go down, and you're going to see real estate signs all over. I think in my report a couple of months ago, 2-3 months ago, I remember we were discussing, saying that that has not been the case. Counter to everything I'm seeing and hearing, houses are turning over and being bought up right away. And that continues to be the case. Not seeing a lot on the market. Whatever goes on the market gets gobbled up fast. So you know, I think the long-range vision here is that, you know, property values are going to be maintained and probably go higher in this area. You know, my wife even saw there was some blog or some exchange on the internet where people who were buying houses, it was some kind of chat room or something, and somebody was saying, well, have you looked in Buchanan? And the person said, yes, I looked at this house. And they say, oh, well, that one's sold already, but if you see anything listed, you better buy it fast. You know, this was a completely separate thing on the internet that my wife happened to notice. So I don't think we need to worry about any kind of real estate bust here in Buchanan. Now the dining segment of my report, because I like to go out to eat. I would like to bring two places to the attention of the residents. We don't have much here, but we got a lot nearby. There's a little place up on Route 202 called the Little Cabin Sandwich Shop. I looked at that. It was kind of a curiosity. I looked at it for about 6 months. I went in there to eat, and now I look for excuses to go up to Route 202 to have lunch. They'd make the most amazing sandwiches with all fresh ingredients, their own smoked meats. There are vegetarian options too. Unbelievably good place. That's right past the Kia dealership on Route 202. Also, I'd like to mention that the people that used to run Taste Restaurant here in Buchanan, I think they were in California for a while, but they're back in the area and have just opened up a little place across from the Veterans Hospital called Crab Cake. They just opened this week, and their menu is things like lobster rolls, crab cakes, some seafood dishes. It's not a very elaborate menu, less so than the taste menu, but I thought that the chef was pretty talented, so that's a pretty promising little place very close by called Crab Cake. So that's the end of the dining segment of my report.
All right, Nick, we need to get those people to come into the village and open
Yeah,
up
well,
restaurants.
hey, that would
Okay.
be great, but I think residents that like to go out to eat often go to Peekskill, Croton, and other areas, so I get excited about food, you know? So,
He does put too much garlic in his peppers, though. Little cap.
oh yeah?
Yeah.
Too much garlic in his peppers?
Yeah, and his roasted peppers.
Oh,
Just letting you know.
okay. I didn't know there was such a thing as too much garlic. I just want to mention a couple of things for the next workshop.
Okay, sure.
Because I'd like people to be aware of what we'll be discussing in case they want to, you know, because the workshops are not televised, so you know. Are we going to be able to have the building inspector at the next workshop to discuss enforcement issues? Is that a go?
Yeah, that's
okay.
going to be on the agenda, yeah.
Okay, good. And I will give an update on the effort to bring a farmer's market here to the village. I'll give that update at the workshop.
Good.
And will we have any update on, or discussion on the multifamily? Would that be something we should do while the building inspector is here also? We could have a discussion about that?
Yeah, I think so, you know, because
On-
we have a basic list that's already been started,
So our intent is to try to assess what our multifamily situation is, specifically targeting illegal apartments. So we'll try to continue that discussion at the next workshop. Just like to make people aware of what those topics will be. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I do want to say something about the New York Times article that was in on Sunday. We're going to try to put it on our Facebook, but one of the people that was interviewed there is in our audience, Mr. Ferguson. He's a new resident here since January, and that's who he is. So welcome. Thank you for coming to Buchanan. Oh, thank you. Trustee Pasquale,
Yes,
what do you
ma'am.
have for us this
Thank
evening?
you. I have very little. Just want to also shout out and everybody enjoy their 4th of July holiday tomorrow. Maybe a week before we have our board meetings, I usually sit down with the Chief of Police, Chief Tubbs, and we go over some incidents that our police department handles during the month. And he gives me about 6 or 7 of them, and I like to read them during our meetings. This way everybody's aware of the things that our police department does that's not on these statistics pages. Anyway, June 6th at 3:55 p.m., Officer Buddy responds to a 4th Street residence for a medical emergency. He renders first aid until the ambulance arrives. June 10th at 3:15 p.m., Officer Buddy responds to a report of a suspicious subject flying a drone in the area of Indian Point. Officer Buddy made a thorough check of the area, but the subject had left prior to his arrival. June 12th, 8:25 a.m., Officer Farrell responds to Tate Avenue where a resident reports a suspicious person in a vehicle near a bus stop. Officer Farrell located the subject to explain that he waits at that location till after the bus leaves because he picks up his grandson at a residence near the bus stop and he doesn't want to interfere with the bus. Officer Farrell verified the subject's statement. June 12th, 4 p.m., Officer Buddy arrests a 41-year-old Peekskill resident on a warrant. He was arraigned in village court and he was released on bail. June 12th, 7:35 p.m., Officer Buddy responds to a Lindsay Avenue address. There he encounters a situation where a resident has fallen through an old set of exterior stairs and a neighbor was keeping her from falling any further. Officer Buddy notified the fire department and ambulance to respond. The resident was extricated from the stairs and transported to the hospital. June 16th, 9:25 a.m., Officer Farrell responds to a First Street residence for a report of a skunk out in the daytime. Officer Farrell determined that the skunk was either sick or injured. He darted and euthanized the skunk. June 19th, 1:15 a.m., Officer Farrell finds that an apparent prank, someone had placed numerous construction barricades into the driving lanes on Albany Post Road. Officer Farrell removed the barricades to prevent any accidents. June 19th, 7:20 a.m., Officer Farrell arrests a 24-year-old village resident for driving with a suspended license as well as several other vehicle and traffic violations. June 21st, 9:35 p.m., Officer Buddy arrests an 18-year-old Peekskill resident for driving with 5 suspensions of his license and numerous other vehicle and traffic violations. The vehicle was impounded and the subject was released on bail. June 25th, 8:45 a.m., Officer Farrell responds to a Tate Avenue residence where a woman had locked herself out of her house. Upon speaking with her, Officer Farrell learned that she had her garage door opener locked inside her car. Officer Farrell was able to unlock the car, allowing the resident to gain access to her house through the garage. And last, June 28th at 1:20 p.m., Officer Farrell responds to a Seward Street residence for a medical emergency. Officer Farrell renders aid to the victim till he's transported by ambulance to the hospital. And that's all I have.
All right, good, thank you. Next is comments from the floor. Any items at all? Anyone? No? Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, just, sure, come up to the podium and your name and your address for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Reverend Linda Willey. I live down the street at 277 Church Street. I began Sunday as the new pastor of the Trinity Basketball United Methodist Church.
Well,
I
welcome.
believe I met you
Yes,
last
that's
week.
Kevin. Welcome to Buchanan, and I know we have to sit down and chat yet, but thank you.
I am excited
Yeah,
to be here.
this is a great community. You're going to
and
love these people.
I am
Yeah.
looking forward to hopefully being here for many years to come and,
Good.
and becoming involved. So,
Oh, great,
thank you.
good. Welcome.
Welcome.
Any other comments from the floor? Hi, Diane. Sure.
Basically came to say thanks, and I did get this just before I came, and it has to do with the 4th of July, and this is not why I came. But I just want to read this. I was going to complain about the heat today, but then I realized it isn't 120 degrees. I'm not 5,700 miles from home. I'm not dressed in full uniform. I'm not carrying 70-plus pounds of gear. There was little chance of me driving over a bomb today. Thanks. So on the 4th of July, I thought that was thanks to them and
Absolutely.
thanks
Yes.
to everybody in the past, too. But I wanted to thank you for demolishing the house, first of all. I don't know if anybody's ever thanked you for that.
The house, the White Street.
Oh, the White Street house.
Yeah,
That
well-
for many, many administrations have been complained about
It was a
that.
challenge,
And
yeah.
I know it was a challenge. There's one at the end of our street on Bannon, and I know it's probably even more of a challenge. so-
That's closer
That's
to getting resolved than the last one. there's I can say this, there's the last surviving person of the family is deceased.
Oh, okay. I do
So,
know the family.
Yeah, so, yeah, the last son died not too long ago. So that's going to take a different turn.
But thanks
I
for
think,
putting
sure.
it on White Street, and I know it wasn't easy. I want to thank all the departments. The village looks really great. I mean, every time I go by Len's Cove, I think how nice it looks. The beautification committee has done such a good job on the tubs, the circle. I've seen them working out there in the heat when it's very, very hot. I do wish there was a sign when you come in to, through Broadway, that there would be one saying, "Welcome to Buchanan," either the old one or even a little village, another one. But, because it would be nice, because our village does look so nice, and I am proud to live here. I saw the May meeting. It was very interesting. It was probably one of the most interesting meetings I've seen in a long time, and I really was hurt, because I never heard the rumor about the police department. But I also thought it was so eye-opening. I was glad to hear when the woman spoke up to say that the police department goes to BV school, which to me has always been such an amazing opportunity when we have a school here right in our village. Only half of our children go there. My children never went to that school. They go to Frank G. Lindsay. However, when children see a policeman and they get to know them, they're not going to have a fear of policemen. And today, there is, as we know in the news and everything, there are problems sometimes between the police and the community. So I thought that was great. I never knew that. I never knew they went. I also think that one of the problems has been that there has not been transparency when it came to the police department. We've often said to each other, "Oh, what does the police department do?" Well, you started, Trustee Pascal, to tell what the police department did. And I think that's, a really great thing. I've lived here all my life, and I've only called, I think, the police 3 times, but twice this month. Once was because we had a raccoon that was out in the daytime underneath our porch, and it was Memorial Day. I'm trying to remember what the other one was for. I was a dog. There was a pit bull loose, and I was walking all by myself at 1:30 in the afternoon on Lindsay Avenue, and I got into a truck. I held on, the dog went past me. He did bite somebody after me. And I held on to a truck. A truck let me into there with him. I was frightened to death. But anyway, and that was handled. I came to the police department and
Did the dog have tags?
Pardon me?
Did the dog have tags?
Yeah, I found out afterwards. I came down, I told about it. Then I went on about my business. The police chief called Officer Guida, who was on duty. He handled it. After I got back home, I had some things to do. I was walking, but I walked a different way. I called, and Officer Guida told me that the people were very upset that the dog had gotten out. Someone had walked in unexpectedly, and the dog got out, but that the dog did bite someone else. Yes, they bit someone else. So I don't know any more than that. That's all I know. But I tell you, it took 10 years off my life when I was all by myself, and he came right. He was going to get me. So another suggestion that I have, but I'm so afraid that this will be criticized because this is not to do with a person, it has to do with a position. I don't understand, or I think it would be nice if the police chief came to meetings and gave the report, and it would be nice if people saw the police chief and themselves. That's just I'm not, like
We
I
have
said, in that
asked.
position.
Yeah, no, we have asked, and he has come to a few, but going forward,
Okay,
he has
maybe
been
if you
told
have
to come,
in the
you know.
future, perhaps.
Yeah, in case there's questions or any comments or anything that he could answer immediately,
Right.
he'll be at our meetings, but thank you.
Okay, we just had new water meters, I thought, not so many years ago. Mars is outside, no, must have been. The years go very quickly. It's probably 5 years. But you used to come into our house, and for many years you haven't had to come into our house.
Right, we put the remote reader on the outside. I mean, we have changed them along the way if people think that they're going,
No.
they're
Ours
not
hasn't.
reading accurately. But
No, that was just, like I said, the time goes. The end of Catherine Street is so awful. If you don't have to drive it because you don't live there. Your car goes like this when you go in and out of Catherine Street. It's the shoulder. We saw them, DOT was there doing some of the potholes. Well, it needs a heck of a lot more than a pothole. They didn't touch the end of our street.
No.
But it's really, really, really terrible. It's not
Yeah,
just
this-
a little bit bad.
The state
It's
has
disgusting.
told us that
I hope so.
they're doing a lot of work, but next year they'll be repaving that road there, the whole road. So they have a big project coming up, but they're trying to finish all their infrastructure things that are going on underneath. But that will be repaved, but we have to put up with it for another year. I know, it's in tough shape.
Okay, basically, that was it.
Okay.
I did feel like the May meeting was really, really, really eye-opening. It made such a difference in our understanding and knowledge of the police department. I think that's very important.
Thank you.
I do want to mention something about the sign coming in on Broadway. We used to have one there. We are waiting, we're pretty fortunate. Peekskill is going to be extending their path right up to our gate that goes down to the ramp. So they're going to be following through basically a little bit into Buchanan and finishing their path right at our entrance. So we didn't want to do anything until we know exactly how that's going to look, how that's going to be finished up. So, but yeah, there was always one there, but yeah, we will be replacing that, where Kevin and I are working on getting the other two signs, new signs coming in by the high school and one coming in by the Iron Bridge. We are planning, I'm working with the beautification committee, we're planning on moving that flower box that's by all the Spectra, and it looks terrible before the bridge. There's a few places that we did pick out. So we're just trying to work with the highway department so that we can get a new flower box, and then we'll move everything out of there. But that's just not the place for it anymore. The only other thing I wanted to mention, and I apologize that I forgot, is Entergy was the one who sponsored and paid for our 90th picnic. So they paid for the whole thing. So I definitely want to thank Entergy for doing that for us. That was very generous of them, and we really appreciate their support over the years with the events we've had. Any other comments from board members? No? Okay. I am going to make a motion. We have to go into a brief executive session. I'm going to make a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a great Buchanan Day, everyone. And no monies will be spent or expended. Thank you.